Hey, Justin, thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Breezy. Excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you. You guys have been busy, and it looks like some really exciting things are happening for third degree.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. As of this week, we have boots on the ground and operations going in New Mexico, in Saudi Arabia, in Colombia, as well as preparing for the Gulf of America.
Gulf of America. Yeah, we got to get used to that change.
Yes, ma'am. That's right.
Well, that's exciting. You guys are kind of spread out, but it also sounds like, from conversations we've had before, like that has been in the works a lot with Saudi Arabia and Colombia.
Oh, absolutely. Whenever we started Third Degree Specialty Tools back in January 2024, our main target was the market in Saudi Arabia. And, the other opportunities that have come throughout the year preparing to deploy to Saudi, we've just been fortunate enough to capitalize on those as they've came, being the other markets of Latin America, Colombia, the Gulf of America, and even some here domestic work out in the Permian and New Mexico.
Right. Well, that's awesome. So it's like even though it's kind of spread out, it's within your specialty and what you do, and so
Right.
that's where the demand is and that's where the needs are.
Yes, ma'am. 100%. That's what's specific about, services that we provide. They're all tailored around essentially providing wellhead intervention and the utilization of our specialty tools in doing so. So those jobs don't necessarily come up every single day, but if you target more than one market and spread yourself out a little bit, it can be done, and there's plenty of work to be had.
Yeah. Well, in this project that you guys had going on in the Gulf, that was an opportunity for you to try out one of your, it's a hot tap.
Right. So that was a subsea pressure tapping tool that we actually deployed. We deployed actually the first time back over Christmas, over the holidays, and a couple of my guys went out and did successfully did a high pressure hot tap at 5,900 foot of water, which is the deepest that's ever been done remotely. Providing this service and it being a high pressure system. We dealt with up to a little over 8,000 psi. Running that job, so everything went great and flawless. With our equipment, so that was definitely a success for us. A little feather in our hat.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting, and that goes to show like the quality of
Right.
your equipment and that you can actually go further than what's been done before.
Absolutely. That's the idea.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
very exciting. Congratulations on being able to execute that and see it like that it was successful in what you guys are able to do, and now you just have that confidence and momentum moving forward.
Absolutely right. And we have more data now as well, on developing a tool and seeing it all the way through to the success of the project that we deployed it on. So
Hmm.
that always helps in pursuing more work as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Able to refine and fine tune and have a little bit more knowledge about, just everything. There's so much that's rapidly changing in the industry and being able to stay ahead of that and be that type of service. Because when you're talking about, integrity and intervention, it's like you have to be at that helm all the time of knowing what the problem could be or how to mitigate uh, potentially hazardous situations.
You're absolutely right. And that's exactly what we pride ourselves on at Third Degree Specialty Tools is, we're not just a tool company, we're not just a service company. We like to provide solutions. We're more about we're very adaptable to any and all situations that you're dealing with on any type of surface pressure control equipment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. Great thing to have in the industry, and with all the knowledge and experience combined on your team. And I know that you'd been working on this relationship in Saudi Arabia for a while,
Right.
and that just recently got got off the ground, right? The guys are
Right.
over there, and
Oh yeah, it all came to
your
fruition
tools got through
all
customs.
the way through customs this past Monday and all. So the guys are over there cutting metal and getting everything prepped to ready to deploy out to the field now.
That is really exciting, and I mean that's an achievement in itself to be able to have a presence over there.
Oh, 100%, especially just starting out, you know, being somewhat of a startup as we are, you know. We all have very good reputations in the industry, and I just feel very fortunate that we're able to come back together and pursue it as a team, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, kind of the history of third degree and a little bit of your work history and how you got into
Right.
this part of the industry.
Yeah, so, you know, I started my career in the wellhead business. I was a field service tech installing, servicing wellhead systems for wood group pressure control. I worked there for, I'm not exactly sure on the years, quite a while. I got all my training there for working in the oil field and running service and running wellhead. From there, I went from the wellhead business and had the opportunity to get in the well control business, working for Boots and Coots International Well Control. And when I took that opportunity, I got to go around the world a couple times and work on some very interesting and exciting projects. And you know, throughout that process, gain more knowledge, you know, of just the oil field in general,
Mm-hmm.
and also my own capabilities. And so, fast forward, I when I left Boots and Coots, I went to another company called Eagle Pressure Control, where it's kind of like a combination of both of my worlds. We were a wellhead service provider and wellhead provider, as well as my part of the business was wellhead intervention work, which ties to well control quite
Mm-hmm.
often. So we were doing great there at Eagle Pressure Control. We were in business for about 2.5, 3 years. And then me and two of my guys, we went to cover a wellhead job for our wellhead group because they were shorthanded and just doing a simple tube and head swap. And the well ended up coming in on us. It blew out and ignited instantaneously, and it burned four of us total. And out of everybody that was burned, I was the only one that actually survived. I was burned about 48, 50% of my body, third degree. Hence the name, third degree
Mm-hmm.
specialty tools.
Yeah.
So it's important to know that, you know, in that fire, I lost two of my big brothers. You know, my first mentor I had in the oil field, Jock Bettingfield. He taught me everything I know about wellhead and running in the oil field, running wellhead service. Then when I got into the well control world, you know, Brad was right there to take me under his wing and, you know, take me on some of the most exciting projects and biggest jobs I've ever been on in my life, you know, and teach me everything about that world. And then, you know, it was very special to me that whenever I ventured out and started Eagle Pressure Control, they both came and actually worked for me at Eagle Pressure Control. So, but they both lost their lives on that day, and you know, as I was putting myself back together when I got out of the hospital, you know, I was in my head I was going to give myself 5 years to decide to go back to work, to decide what I was going to do and pursue it. And I honestly was not even thinking about getting back in the oil field, you know. And then my father died about 3.5 years post me getting out of the hospital, and at my father's service, I saw a lot of my old colleagues and things, and that
Mm-hmm.
just really ingrained in me, like made me think, what are you doing? You know, you grew up in this industry.
Right.
I had a good reputation in the industry. I don't want to see all my hard work more or less go by the wayside, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I started talking to some of my old colleagues and my old teammates from Boots and Coots and in the Wellhead, and when I worked in Wellhead, and you know, we were able to come up with a plan. So, as I said, January 2024, 4 years post the accident, we started third degree specialty tools with one target in mind, and that being the Middle East market. And you know, like as I said, we've been preparing for that all year, and throughout that, you know, we've had all these other opportunities come along as well, and we've just been fortunate enough to capitalize on them.
Mm-hmm.
And But our main drive at Third Degree Specialty Tools is, we want to be the guys to bring tools to market that marry more automation and promote more, removing people from the red zone,
Mm-hmm.
getting people away from their actual tool that they have to, where they don't have to have their hands on it and operate it while it's exposed to full wellbore pressures.
Right.
And a big motivation for us is, obviously the two brothers that we lost, and my own um path through that as well. But also just we feel that we've earned the right throughout our careers and our paths through the career to be the guys to help have the most success at ushering in the idea of being able to take your hands off of it and rely more on data and technology.
Mm-hmm.
And we feel very strongly about that, just not only because of our generation, but also the things that, as I said, we've been fortunate enough to be exposed to throughout our careers,
Right.
and the variety of things. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what's got us driving at Third Degree Specialty Tools.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of drive is unmatched. I mean, for your personal experience and the experience that you've had in the industry, but then your personal loss and the journey that you went through in
Right.
coming back, but then being able to put everyone back together and realize it's more than it's not just a job. It's very much a part of your identity and what you
It's
do.
a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle, and because you have so many people that have been a part of that history, and I mean they lost a lot of the same of what you've lost as well,
Right.
and to go through those experiences together and then to be able to build something like this, it's really bringing it full circle and being able to step into the future as a leader and not just someone that's a part of the industry, but you're really able to separate yourself, and you have so much to offer.
That's what we hope.
Yeah, well, yeah,
That is the
absolutely,
plan. Yes, ma'am.
and to be able to, to bring all of that knowledge and experience, and be able to partner with some of these major operators in the industry and take the preventative action
Right.
instead of reacting to an
Absolutely.
accident, because even in the accident that you were involved in, that was preventable
Absolutely, it was
with communication and protocols that would have
proper
been put
planning.
in place, and so the thing about oil and gas is it's a very reactive industry. There's so many
Right.
booms and busts, and there's not a lot of communication between the different sectors. And so everybody's just got that tunnel vision on what they're working on. And a lot of people are job scared or, worried about what's going to happen depending on the year or, things that are going on that can impact the industry. But this is a great time, and I think a lot of people are taking a step back to be more preventative and proactive, because a little bit of communication and, like you said, data and technology, it's a game changer.
Absolutely. It's one thing to be able to talk about something and the need for a change, speaking to it or pushing an idea, you know. But whenever you're able to couple the data with it and put actual life experiences with it and put a face to, you know, why these things need to change, we just feel like, that it would be smoother for everyone. It'd be a smoother transition across the board.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like you're saying, like the life experience along with like what it is you're trying to implement, like it speaks for itself
Right.
because of, what you've experienced yourself, and, being able to have that service, like you said, it's a lot of maintenance, and then that can go into more specialty projects with some of these operators. That's kind of the
Right.
idea.
And a lot of it is properly identifying hazards. Um, you know, having whenever we look at certain things, we know what to look for and what tools we can provide to mitigate the risks of dealing with what you have at in place, so to speak. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it all ties together. It's basically our niche is surface pressure control equipment, and Maintenance is always your best friend, but
Hmm.
it rarely stays consistent throughout the life of a well, you know. So the need for wellhead intervention services and these types of tools, unfortunately, it'll never go away, you know.
Hmm.
But what we're working on is taking the need for the man being there, standing there operating it to go away, you
Right.
know.
When you started the journey of developing the tools, what was that like?
So that actually, it was, so you have to understand these tools themselves, you know, we've been working with these tools for probably the past 20 years. And all of, throughout our careers at Boots and Coots and stuff. And we had one old, sweet old German man that designed and built all of our tools for us over the years. And he's a part of Third Degree now,
Oh, very
and
cool.
he's very happy to be here. You know, he kind of tends to us like we're all his grandsons. You know,
Okay.
so but yeah, so you know, we had one piece of it being the technology of the tool itself, but the technology of that tool, as I said, you know, we all worked at Boots and Coots, so that tool itself is already in the market and in different markets that we haven't put there. So, you know, we knew we had one piece being the tool itself. It is, in our opinion, the industry standard, the top of the line for providing these services. You want these tools to do them. So we have one piece. Now we want to get ourselves and people away from having to be on that tool
Hmm.
operating it. So we partnered with another company that they had already developed their own automated type of service tool that we uh, we partnered with them, which we had a project for that tool as well. So we took that tool, we have that tool deployed. You know, we have that tool deployed as third degree as well, and then we also are working collectively with them to automate our tools.
Okay.
So um, so yeah, I mean it's a collective effort between our
And
two
just kind of been an
companies. And
evolution.
I mean honestly, we had the idea to do it, and the first guy we went and sat down with was the right guy that we needed. And it's, I mean honestly, a lot of things that we're doing at third degree, they seem to just be falling into place like that, you know.
Yeah. No, it really does sound like it. And it's just like this junction that we're in the industry where people are really getting on board and they're wanting
Right,
more automation. And because there's the culture of safety as far as like knowing to stay out of the way and wear your hard hat and all your
right,
PPE, but there's another level of safety when it comes to the equipment and the need for automation or at least to be remote. Like you said, to get out of that red zone,
right,
to stay off the rig floor as much as possible, to be out of, any kind of swing radius or I mean there's so many hazards that people are susceptible to in the field on different
right.
locations, and then you get people that are new to the industry and they don't know
Exactly.
how anything is working or like what the dangers are. And
Right.
so like providing this new technology as well as education, it's just a game changer.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of our thinking behind it as well is, you know, this the next generation of men and women coming in, they've grown up with the iPhones and the screens, whereas, you know, I see that next generation being a lot more accepting to going and doing a job that they can have that worked into their function and their job function, you know.
Yeah.
Just that the ease of that process of having, you know, more digital things and technology married in, you know, I
Hmm.
feel like that'll interest the right kinds of people to come into the next as the next generation, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense.
You know, I mean that's what I mean. I remember the first time I saw an iPhone. I was on a location, and I I didn't think that phone was gonna last through the day. You know, it looked so delicate to me,
Right.
and it's like, look at us now.
Look
Everybody's got
as I
one.
didn't think people would text when texting would first come out.
Right.
I thought that was going to just be a fad.
Yeah, I could see that too. I
And
remember
it took
thinking
me
the
a
same
while to
thing.
to
just
get the
succumb to
iPhone
it.
too. Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
I was the
didn't
same
text for
way.
a while. I didn't want an iPhone. I'm like, I don't need all that.
I'm still struggling with social media, you know.
Using it, well, social media is a double-edged sword because if utilizing it correctly, you can do a lot of good.
Right.
But you can waste a lot of time, or there's a melting pot of information out there, so
Oh
you've really got to
yeah.
discern what's right for you and what's valuable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I've learned that because I mean, social media, like I mean, we're just in like this continuous state of evolution
Right.
with media, with technology, with the way we communicate, and it's like really being able to have choice. Like when we went through COVID and there was no choice and everybody was separate, and you
Hmm.
had to follow certain protocols, and then we realized like, okay, a lot of this doesn't make sense, or we really do like some human interaction, or we need to be on
Right.
location. But there was also a lot of that was provided where it's like, well, we can be a little bit more automated, or we can be physically remote. We don't always have to drive somewhere, or be out
Hmm.
like just adding to our own carbon footprint.
Yeah.
So I think a nice balance of all of it, it's like really marrying the cultures between like being that traditional and just enjoying life like the way we've always known it, but then
Hmm.
integrating a little bit of technology. It's being able to find that blend and balance to where we can move forward, but like technology is helping us, it's not hurting us.
100%. And that's something that obviously going through what I had went through, that's ultimately what changed my perspective on that, on being more accepting of technology, because I was very much not that way,
Right.
so there's silver linings, right?
There really is. And it's like I said, discerning. Because it's like, even for me, as much as I post and I have content and it's always going out on my platforms, I don't necessarily over consume those platforms. Like,
Right.
I want to make sure that my content is clear and it's professional, and in the way that I like to represent my show and engaging with certain people or certain companies. But, you can get lost
Oh
on
yeah.
any platform, and then you get off of it and wonder like, how are you affected now? Like, are you
Yeah.
are you triggered, are you drained, are you inspired? And so it's like, really, it's like you have to have like your own internal system dialed in, like knowing
Guidelines.
where there's enough is enough. You got to have your own
Yeah.
guidelines.
Yeah, 100%. Excellent advice.
Yeah, and that's what I've learned, because I'm like, I mean, I'll have fun too, I mean, like, there's all kinds of stuff out there. You can learn anything you want, and
Right.
yeah, and so it's like it's a personal choice too. But I love seeing so much more technology coming into oil and gas because,
It has to.
like, I mean, when I worked in the field in the very beginning, like there wasn't a lot of technology, and looking back, it's like imagining what it was like before cell phones, like the
Hmm.
amount of uh, like the lack of communication, like during that time, like safety has become so much at the forefront. But it's like, I think a lot of it is us being able to communicate, and it's not that difficult to implement more safety protocols. It's not that hard to integrate some of this technology,
You're
and
right.
it
We're
makes
very
your
close to
jobs
it.
easier.
Absolutely. We're right on the cusp of it already. Nobody. It just the. That's why again, like I said, with my team, I feel like we're the right guys to help. Usher this type of technology into the industry to have it accepted. Easier, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Just because somebody wants to. We can go down and talk about the experiences on how we used to do it and why we prefer to do it this way now. Because we have done it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I think that, I mean, like, definitely like being able to put yourself in that position, and show people like, how it works both ways,
right.
and why this is better. And I think like the more people can see it, the
Hmm.
easier it is for them to accept it. But I mean, we're in such an era now where there's technology in everything.
Oh yeah.
And if you can see its effectiveness, and I mean, especially like, I feel like everyone's raising the bar in oil and gas on the operator side, like really focusing more on preventative action.
Right. No, I agree 100%. I mean, that's the simple fact that We I have a crew out in New Mexico, running that project. That's the project they're running out there. It's more of a preventative type of project, whereas an operator out there had purchased a batch of assets from another operator. The operator that purchased the assets, they have a certain standard that they like to have all their well plumbing coming off the annuluses and all outlets of the wellhead up to surface. Well, this new batch of assets, they don't doesn't necessarily match that standard. So, generally that's a construction type of job. But now, since these assets are not necessarily new, they instead hire us rather than a construction crew to come out because they know it's not a fresh system.
Yeah.
They don't know, they need somebody with the expertise of the equipment and the situations and the access to the tooling that we have to be able to go in and give them a full, hands-on detailed audit of what they have,
Mm-hmm.
as well as identify the hazards, mitigate them, and get them and eliminate them. You know,
Right.
so that's what is leading. You know, that shows us right there. The larger operators by far are they're putting safety and preventative maintenance and preventative planning on the forefront 100%.
And that makes sense also that they wouldn't just hire like a general contractor
Right.
because you have to be skilled in knowing, I
You
mean,
need that
to
knowledge.
that knowledge and that understanding, because you can't, it's not just about making changes.
Right.
It's about being able to read the situation and take the right steps.
I agree.
And with a lot of, in the Permian and the Delaware, there's so many foreign lines, and
Right.
everything's so old.
I know.
And so it's like you really have to have the right knowledge and tools to be able to execute that kind of maintenance.
Absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's really awesome to hear that you guys are doing that out there. And I mean, like you said, it sounds like everything's just falling into place
Yeah.
and making some great connections. And so, would you say overall it's been pretty well received?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I mean, like I can tell you, even our Colombian operations. I mean, that essentially, we got that started by providing wellhead intervention solutions for two operators over there that they were going in to do plug and abandonments of these wells. And these wells are so dilapidated, they can't even get onto the well to work, into the well bore to be able to do the plug and abandonment process.
Oh, wow.
So over there, that's what we do over there as well. Is we go around in front of the plug and abandonment crews, and we go up on it. Some of these wells haven't been touched in 15, 20 years. And we go and we identify all the hazards and we fix them and we mitigate all the risks and we get everything set to where whenever the plug and abandonment crew gets there, they have nothing to worry about. They know they have good valves, they have good surface pressure control equipment to be able to start the plug and abandonment process. You know,
Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely understanding that. I'll have a
right?
clearer understanding of how you guys are doing this. Like
Yeah, I
that,
mean they're
that
preventing
confidence.
blowouts. They're preventing people. Obviously lost. Injuries and things. That it's really good to see. And I feel like all of these different markets. I feel like things are just moving in that direction because I mean it's all time. I mean, how many wells have been drilled in the last 50, 60, 100 years that have gotten neglected
Hmm.
that now something needs to happen or you're going to, get communication from somewhere else or,
Right.
it has to be regulated in some way. And,
Hmm.
and all of the years of, the orphan wells and things, you know, completely dilapidating in the field from neglect, you want somebody there to get in, to help you get into it that
Hmm.
is going to help you get into it safely without, ensuing a well control event, and having a blowout,
Hmm.
uncontrolled release.
And do you think a lot of that neglect and abandonment is just like not knowing how to address the problem? So it's out of sight, out of mind. Let's just ignore it until it's a problem. We'll deal with it then, instead of trying to partner with someone like Third Degree that could actually go in there and solve the problem.
Yeah, I think honestly, it's a number of things. I'm sure. I mean, you probably have, there's a handful operators. I mean, maybe they went bankrupt. Maybe they thought they had a dry hole. I mean, there's just a myriad of issues on why, you know, the the situation exists.
Okay.
But what's important is, it's impressive to see the current operators. They're the ones that are upping their standards, and it's almost having like a blanket effect, in these areas. Whereas, it's catching on more. The preventative part of it, and just thinking about it from a different angle, and and realizing that there are wells out there that you may not know about, and nobody's touched in years, and you don't just walk up and think everything's completely functional. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's probably not.
Right.
I mean you would err on the side of caution with that.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
I understand, and I mean it does. Like I agree with like seeing like the different position a lot of operators are taking, like taking especially like with the recent acquisitions and mergers. Like it's like let's like how are we going to step forward together? And there's
Right.
a lot of unity and there's a lot of new standards that seem like that they're developing for
Hmm.
the industry, that are a lot of them are common sense, or really easy to implement if, like you said, you look at it from a different angle, and you have the right people that you
Right.
can count on. But it's it kind of goes back to this is the way it's always been done, and so it's like taking a beat to setting it up for future success instead of future disaster.
Exactly. It's like cheap insurance.
Exactly. Or hiring a cheap contractor. You're going to have someone do it again,
Yeah.
rework the job, or, and we're talking about livelihood and lives, and, the
Absolutely.
integrity of what we're producing. And so it's like there's a lot of liability that needs to be considered further than just everybody works safe.
Right.
Because like the environment may not be safe.
Right. Spot on. And that could be totally out of anybody's hands that's there that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the
Mhm.
important thing to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Would you say that, from coming back into the industry and how everything's gone, like is it rewarding to be a part of this now?
Oh, 100%. It's very rewarding. It's like, now more than ever, I feel like I've found and I have a true purpose, and a true drive and a true target in what, me and my team are trying to do. Before it was my target was always clear, and I did it well before, but now, my perspective's obviously changed, and just my whole outlook a little bit. I've grown up quite a bit. I mean, obviously, so
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I mean, it's exciting times. We're really excited about the future.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for you guys. I mean, that's a lot to bring into this new chapter.
Yes,
It's like
ma'am.
your experiences, and I mean your hands-on experience with what happened, and but being able to now be a part of that change.
Right.
That there is a lot of purpose for you to lead the way and to share your story
Mm-hmm.
and to influence these operators, and provide the education so that they can make that decision for
Oh
themselves,
yeah,
and being that resource.
100%. And it's and the way I see it too. It's the best way I can honor, my big brothers and my mentors that I lost in the fire. It's like all of our new tools that we roll out. We're naming like the first four tools that went to Saudi Arabia were the Jock number one through
Oh, that's
four. So
awesome.
yeah, it's very rewarding to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
So
Very cool. Like to even like to have that, like to have their presence and
right,
honor their memory and have them a part of this too.
100%.
And to send that over to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
What a feeling.
Yes, ma'am.
Very cool. Well, I am really excited to see what you guys are doing and what you're bringing in the industry. And I'm so glad that you're able to come on today and talk about it.
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's been awesome talking to you, and I look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future.
exciting things coming. I promise you that.
Well, thank you, Justin. And thank you, everyone, for watching Power of the Permian. We'll see you next time.